Welcome to the Riding in the Weeds podcast, where we tackle life's inevitable challenges, from navigating mountain bike trails to overcoming business hurdles and forging deeper connections with pets and people. It's easy to find yourself tangled in the weeds, but we're here to help with insights and strategies that'll get you out of the weeds. Our goal is to boost your performance in both sports and everyday life by sharing essential skills that we've learned along the way. Through tales of our entrepreneurship journey, thrilling biking adventures, and fostering meaningful relationships, your hosts, Natasha, Lockey, and Ginny, Branden, will guide you on a journey that's not only enjoyable, but also inspiring. Join us to gain confidence that you need to navigate the trails of life.
All right, welcome to episode 56 of Riding in the Weeds. You are here today with Ginny and Tosh, and we are talking a little bit about some bike tips today. So hang around if you're curious. I went biking the other weekend, and I noticed it's been about 7 months since I was on my bike, and I have strength issues in my left leg and my right leg anyway. So I know that. And I noticed getting back on my bike after that much time off, I was wobbling a lot and I felt like my pedaling was not very efficient. It got a little better as I rode, and I tried to focus on the idea of using the same amount of power in my left leg versus my right leg, but it was still a little rusty. And I know Tosh, our expert mountain bike coach and performance coach, has talked before about pedaling. So I wanted to dig into this today. It's a little bit of a selfish topic, but I wanted Tosh to share a little bit about this because I think this is a problem that probably a lot of people have and maybe they don't realize they have. If you've ever had this question, then hang out with us today and we're going to dig in. So talk to me about pedaling, Tosh.
Okay, so my first question, Ginny, is when you say wobbling, do you mean like the bike was wobbling from side to side, or are you talking about your front wheel moving backwards and forwards? Or both?
Yeah, so a little bit of both, but I would say that I was noticing, particularly when I would start biking, so if we had stopped and I begin pedaling again, that I'm pushing off and I'm having to correct with my front wheel a little bit. I'm sort of swerving a little bit. My line isn't straight, and I can feel my body struggling to figure out how to power the bike effectively. And like I said, I'm rusty, so that's definitely part of it, but I'm wondering how I work on balancing that and what I need to be focusing on when I'm pedaling so that I'm making sure that I'm creating the most efficient movement.
Yeah. So again, I'm just going to keep asking you questions so I can get to the bottom of the answer that is going to be most specific. When you go to take off, are you starting, so you got your feet on the ground? Are you standing up when you go to pedal away? Are you sitting on your seat? Is your pedal that you're taking your first pedal stroke with, is it at the bottom of the stroke or is it at the top of the stroke?
So I'm always on my bike seat. Because of my left-right issues, I don't really stand on my bike almost ever. I haven't ever tried, really, I suppose is also the answer to that. And that's probably as much mental for me as it is physical, just the mental awareness of my left-right challenges. And I will almost always, even though I do have left-right challenges, I would prefer to push off with my right pedal. But if the right pedal is down, then I don't do that because I know I'm not getting any power that way. So I will put my foot on whichever pedal is high from there, and I will use that pedal to begin pushing off. So if it's on the left side, I feel like I don't have as much power on that side. That's probably, again, as much mental as it is actually the reality of what's happening.
Yeah, so that's perfect. We don't actually want to start standing up. We want to be sitting. We want to start as balanced as possible. So the most balanced position to be in is a tripod. So one foot's on the ground, the other foot, the foot that you like to take off on, back pedal so that it's at the top, and then hands on your handlebars, fingers on your brakes, looking where you want to go. You're then going to push off on the top pedal, push off on the ground, engage the core, and start pedaling. If you do those motions all at the same time, you're going to start off balance because you've got that whole pedal stroke to get the other foot on. And if you're engaging with the core versus using your quads to balance you, that's going to give you the stability you need. If you're balancing with your quads, as soon as you take a pedal stroke, you're going to be off balance, right? So starting by zipping up that inner core as you pedal away, engaging those shoulders down, and also engaging through the hips and pushing from the hips. Again, if you are stabilizing and pushing with your quads, you are going to rock the boat, right? You're going to be off balance. The core effectively starts just under our boobs and it goes to just above our knees. So if we engage that core, zip it up, drop our shoulders into our back pockets, and pedal from the hips. I love it. I'm like, my hands are all over the place. Pedal from the hips, pedaling from the core. The other piece here is, where are you sitting on the seat? So what I've been teaching a lot is the pedaling efficiency. And the thing I ask people to be aware of is, if there was somebody looking at the back of your seat, would they be able to see the back of your seat, or is your butt smearing over the back? Right? If your butt is smearing over the back, and just as a point, it doesn't matter if you weigh like 50 pounds or you weigh 500 pounds. If you are sitting back on your seat, your bum will smear on the back of the seat. If you are smearing, you are effectively pushing upwards, because the way that your body is sitting, your butt is backwards. So your feet are going to be pushing. That is the most inefficient way to pedal. If you move yourself forward a little bit, engage that core, and you're sitting in the center of your seat, your feet are now going to be pushing downwards. This is better, but now you're a bit of a piston, right? So you're pedaling like this. If you just rock forward a little bit, engaging that core, moving yourself more onto the sit bones, your legs will be pushing backwards, using the power of your glutes, using the power of your core. You're now in a line, right? So you're slightly forward on your seat. Now, if you're on a steeper slope, you're going to be more forward. If you're just on a flat, you're still engaging and tucking in your pelvis like you would if you were doing a plank in yoga. So you're tucking under your tailbone. If you tuck that tailbone under, that's going to give you backwards pressure. And then if you were to stand up and pedal, again, the reason why a lot of people have trouble with standing up and pedaling is because their stability is coming from their quads. You stand up and pedal using the stability of your quads whilst using the quads to move you forward, you're going to be all off of balance. If we can have that strong core and we're pedaling from the glutes and the hips stay in alignment, whether we're sitting on the seat or standing up, we always want to be having that kind of, I always think of myself like a horse kicking backwards. When they kick backwards, that's one powerful kick, because it is coming from that super powerful glute muscle that a horse has. It's the same thing. If you were to kick backwards using that strong glute, you're going to have a lot stronger of a kick than if you were to kick backwards using the quad. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So where in that, does that kind of start to answer the question? I got a lot more I can say, but let's just check in with you on that piece there.
Yeah, I love the way you've described all the parts of that puzzle of beginning the movement. That is the hardest part of biking, is the starting of the movement. That also takes the most energy to get going. So once we've got that in place, let's talk more now about the pedaling efficiency. So while I'm moving, I have to be very conscious of the discrepancy in the amount of muscle on the left and the right for me. And when I start to fatigue and get tired, that's when I notice I have to start like steering because I'm wobbling with every pedal stroke. So how do I work on that despite the physical difference in my legs?
So really coming back to what I just said is going to be core there, right? Using your core is 100% where you're going to fix that problem, because you're going to notice that physical discrepancy more if your stability is coming from your quads. If your stability is coming out of the core, then that actually isn't going to matter. right? Because each side is working independently. Whereas if your quads is trying to stabilize you, they're trying to be like interdependent whilst moving dependently. Coming back to that core is honestly the biggest part of that puzzle. So now moving into the next step, you've got two pieces. You've got your cadence, which you really want to keep the rhythm of your pedal strokes consistent. If you just listen to our last episode, this is really the same sort of thing, right? We want to stay consistent. We don't want to be going super fast and then slamming on the brakes and going super slow. It's the same thing with our pedal strokes. We want to stay in a gear that enables us to keep that cadence and that rhythm. And if we're on pavement and you start going uphill, you might want to change your gear in order to keep the cadence the same. If you're on a mountain bike, you actually probably want to stay in the second easiest gear to go the whole way up the hill so that you're not in fifth gear and then suddenly there's a hill and you're changing down rapidly. So if you're doing undulating stuff, you're actually better off to stop pedaling or pedal slower when it's easier, and then you're able to pedal faster, but you're actually keeping the same rhythm. It's the resistance that's changing, not what you're doing. So when the resistance gets harder, you actually increase your pedal strokes to keep them at the same rhythm as it is when you're on a flat section. So when you got no resistance, you pedal slower to keep the same resistance, because obviously as you go uphill, you want to not have to pedal really fast. Or what most people do is they've pedaled so fast into the hill that they run out of energy, and so then they're pedaling really slowly by the time they get to the top of the hill. So we've got cadence, and then we've also got your actual pedal stroke. With your pedal stroke, are you a piston or are you a circle? Now, if you've done spin class before, you're going to know you want to make nice circles, right? But you're not using your hamstrings the whole time. You want to actually be moving through a circle. You don't want to be a piston, because then you're just hammering away and you're not using all of the different muscles that you can to be most efficient at each point. This is something that I would teach over an hour as we climbed up a hill. But your circle has 4 quadrants. So you've got the top, and when you're at the top, you want your foot to be going flat. As you drop down the other side, you want to drop your heel like you're dropping into a waterfall, right? So we're going flat, then we're dropping that heel. Then as we get to the bottom, we're going to point our toe and we're going to scrape the poop off our shoe, right? So we're scraping along the bottom, and then to get back up, we're going to scoop and use our hamstring to pull that leg back up, coming back to flat. Your toes are going up, your heel's going down. Then you're getting into that more pointy toe position by scraping across the bottom, and then you're scooping back up to the top. And when you do this, you want to think about one leg, because you can't think about 2 legs at the same time.
Yeah, you can.
So you want to just do this, and then once you get it and you've got those 4 pieces, you then want to bring it together and do it at the same time. And what you'll notice, oddly enough, is when you are flat across the top, that's when you're putting that energy into scraping that poop, right? So the scraping of the poop actually allows the foot that's at the top to rest for a moment. Then we switch places. If you do a really nice downward drop, well, ironically, what that does is it allows you to scoop up without actually having to use the hamstring, which is, just by the way, one of the weakest muscles in our body. But one of the strongest muscles in our body is our quads. So if we use our quads to push down while we're scooping with the other foot, we're now sharing the workload. Again, when you're now scraping, that's going to be an energetic movement across the bottom that allows one foot to cruise up the backside and then cruise across the top and then push and scrape. So your push and your scrape is where all the energy is. And on the other side, that other foot gets to take a little bit of a break for a moment, which gives you this really nice, very efficient stroke, which has you doing nice circles, which then in turn enables you to have a really nice cadence and allows you to keep that balance. And if all at the same time, you're engaging the core, looking where you're going to stay nice and balanced and you're not going to be cruising from side to side. If your front wheel is wobbling, it's because your core is not engaged and you're not looking where you're going.
I love it.
There you go.
Awesome.
In a nutshell. Listen to that 10 times while you're riding up the hill.
Right.
and really, just focusing on that. And if your cadence gets to the point where you're going to be over pedaling for the gear that you're in, you got 3 options. Slow down your pedal and just pedal really gently and recover. You can actually stop pedaling and just coast for a minute, or you can change gear if you're wanting to go faster.
Yeah. Sometime in a future episode, we should talk more about gears, because that's my other tricky thing. I guess that relates to slowing down so you can speed up, because I forget to change my gears. And then I'm caught off guard.
And something that I was actually talking about the other day with a group was, if your bike is responding to you, you're kind of never in the right gear, because you're driving the bike, you're doing it. If you go to take a pedal stroke and you're like, oh, that's not the right gear, then adjust what you're doing to what's going on with the bike in the moment. And then when you have time, that's when you change the gears and figure it out. But never when you're in a critical moment. Instead of trying to change a gear to adjust what's going on, adjust yourself to what's happening underneath you. Look ahead, see what's going on. When you have a moment, then you change your gears and you make it work for you afterwards, as opposed to reacting to the situation and trying to fix it right then and there. Just flow with what's going on and then adjust. So you want to be responding to what's happening as opposed to reacting to what's happening. And then you'll get better. And the more you flow, the more you'll realize your foot's never in the right place. Your gears are never quite right. But what you're doing is always correct. So it doesn't matter what's going on underneath you. So you're always looking ahead. You're always in the driving seat. And then you make adjustments when you have time. When you're going slow enough, you adjust. When you're going really fast, you don't adjust. You just respond to what's happening. Again, listen to our last episode for more on that. I am Natasha Lockey. I am a performance bike life coach. I'm all about helping you respond to what's going on, finding that flow within life, and just managing, knowing where you're going. Look ahead and then adjust to be able to create the life that you want. And it's all about the feeling that you have, right? It's not about the actions that you're taking. It is about how it feels. And that enables us to respond. That enables us to perform better. And that enables us to have more fun. You can find me on Instagram at Betty Gohard, Facebook, Natasha Lockey, LinkedIn, Natasha Lockey. And what about you, Ginny?
I am Ginny Branden. I'm an animal communicator and energy healer for animals and their people too. And if you would like support around your pet relationships, then reach out to me. You can find me on soulpetconnections.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube under the same handle. So thank you so much for joining us today for this little quick dive into some bike tips from Tosh. I definitely appreciate it, and I can't wait to put it into practice. You can find the podcast on ridingintheweeds.com and on all major podcast platforms, as well as Instagram and YouTube and Facebook under the same handles. Please leave your likes, comments, shares. We would appreciate it if you share with a friend and let us know what you think, and leave us a review if you have a moment. So thank you again for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time.
And just to throw it out there, if you have any biking questions or any questions relating to your pets, send them at us. And we're going to be doing these bi-weekly little answering a question episodes for you to start to dig into a little more of our expertise to go along with our ways to get you out of the weeds when you get stuck in them. So thanks again for watching or listening. We'll see you next week.